Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Alliance War Potion and loyalty issue that is currently at the front of the mind of many MCOC players of all tiers, to be honest. It's not just a tier 1 problem. And the way I want to structure this video is I'm going to just share with you some truths about myself, about my history in the game, and about what these changes, if they go into the game as proposed, could mean to me personally and the way that I play the mode of Alliance War. But also, I want to keep that part relatively short because at the end of the video, I'm going to be providing and going over a spreadsheet that I've created this morning to track Alliance War items and loyalty costs that I would encourage a lot of people to either make their own or make a copy of this one so that you can better track, the amount of loyalty that war costs you so that we could provide some data to Kabam. Because I do think they are running numbers that is based on the game, but it's very, very difficult to, look at averages and really see the exact impact of any decision on the amount of loyalty coming in and the cost of potions, without some anecdotal evidence, without some real tracking of individuals who may be on the margins of what the averages are giving. So for me, I'm doing this more of an exercise for myself, but I would encourage you to keep track because that's really the best thing that we can do at this moment, is to really live into the situation and see how badly it is impacting us. So I just want to quickly tell you about my history in the game and my relationship with Alliance War. If you've been following my channel over the past 6 months or so, you know that I've joined SSX 1, which has traditionally been an Alliance War push type alliance. And since I've been here since last July, we have achieved a lot. We started off with 2 Platinum 1 seasons. There were lots of breaks, if you remember, but we have actually made Masters 3 seasons in a row, including finishing top 3 this past season. Now, you may not realize this, but my history before this was I was never in a tier 1 Alliance War alliance. I was originally an alliance leader back in 2017 when Alliance War seasons came out, and we were a gold 1 alliance. We tried, we 100% of the map, we cared about it, we used boosts, we used items and everything. It felt very competitive, but the talent of the group as well as the engagement of the group put us at gold 1. I joined several other alliances, including one called UNCH, where I met one of my good friends in the game, Tafre. He was the leader at the time, and that was my first experience in Tier 2 Alliance War, and I believe this was back in around Season 6 or 7, with the old map that, had the Killmonger on the Masochism node in the middle of the map and all that stuff. This was when I had acquired rank 5-star Void before most of the community because I got lucky. And because of that, I was a very reliable path 6 to 7 runner, which has the buffet nodes, because I was one of the people that had Void. This sort of got me a ticket into higher tier Alliance War, but with that group, we never finished higher than P3, believe it or not. So it still felt very competitive. There was a little bit of planning involved. There was a little bit of stress and, taking it seriously, but that group achieved P3. Then I took a little break from the game, but eventually ended up in my first Map 7 alliance. And in that group, we had one BG who has a lot of my current friends, including Tafre again, and Caesar, and so many other people that are now in SSX. And while we were in this alliance, our battle group was pushing hard on war. We were getting attack bonuses of, 4 deaths, 3 deaths, 2 deaths, things like that. But the rest of the alliance wasn't very interested in Alliance War, so we struggled with pushing, boosting, healing, doing all those things, and only achieving Platinum 2. And because of that, a lot of us left that alliance and kind of went off on our own. And aside from a quick break that I took, where I joined a lower tier alliance where I was sort of one of the heavy hitters in the group, so I ended up actually doing a lot of healing and boosting and stressing about war, even though they were just pushing for like P3. I ended up in SSX eventually through my friend DLL, who we had met on Vegas server. I had showed him some of my gameplay, interviewed, and I was offered a spot, and the rest is history. Now, the thing I want to point out, though, is that ever since Season 1, I have considered myself a competitive Alliance War player, because during those seasons, even when we were aiming for P3, for P2, I was treating War, as well as many of our peers, the same as I treat it now. You know, you go in fully healed, you boost if you can, you use items. Not everyone in the Alliance felt that way, and because of that, it was tough to get all 30 in sync. But my own personal drive, as well as usually the drive of the battle group I was in, pushed it so that we were doing it that way. Now, the reality of my run with SSX since last July is that I have been carried by this compensation. This compensation has been coming out with an extreme amount of loyalty value in it. Not only do you get straight loyalty, but you get 2 of each gray boost, and the level 5 potions, which are 100 a pop. You get 5 of them every week. And I have found that plus just a little bit of glory potions here and there, and then, you know, buying boosts from the loyalty store, has made this like a zero-sum game. Like, yes, there's a lot of time, there's a lot of effort that goes into Alliance War, but the compensation has carried me, and it really makes me wonder if the compensation wasn't there and we were in the old system, if I would be able to hang up here. And I don't think the answer is yes. So the question is, do we want the new system, whatever comes into play, do we want that new system to match whatever the old system was, which was you can use glory to buy the small potions, or do we want it to match what we're getting with the compensation, or do we want it somewhere in the middle? And the real question to me is there going to be more loyalty? Because yes, they are giving us a ton more loyalty, but they are also basically making potions only available in the loyalty store, and there was already a loyalty economy for gray boosts, for class boosts, for some people mastery cores, for some people AQ tickets, for some people generic boosts. You know, maybe someone buys UC, but we're not going to talk about that. So my question is, are they also going to do stuff like buff Alliance War victory and defeat crystals? Are they going to buff the season-long Alliance War solo event? Are they going to add solo or Alliance events that give us some percentage of the current compensation? Those are the unknowns to me. But my personal truth is, if the system goes live as proposed, which is, you know, big increase to loyalty, but no more glory potions, no more compensation, the only place to get healing is the loyalty store at the current prices, my truth is that I will probably need to quit competitive war and go back to like a Platinum 3 type situation, or maybe a 2 battle group type alliance. Because the reality is, like I said, I've been pushing my entire career, so that even going to like a let's 100% the map P3 type alliance, I may feel the same item pressure and be getting even worse rewards. So it's almost like the idea of kind of quitting competitive Alliance War altogether, settling for gold, 2 BG wars, like it's okay if we don't clear the map. And that reality to me is sad, but it's also not something I'm going to outrage over, because at the end of the day, this is Kabam's game. And if that's the game they want to play, if that's what they want to put forward, then my hands are tied. Like, I am stuck doing that. You're not really entitled to anything in this game if you're not going to pay for it. And I know that's a harsh reality, but you know, just like I'm not entitled to get Omega Sentinel if I don't buy calves, like maybe the game they want to create is a game where you don't have as high access to the most competitive game modes if you don't pay. And for me, it's kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back for me is like, I already invest a lot of time to Alliance War. I'm an officer. A lot of headspace goes to it, a lot of like cheering on my friends, answering questions, watching the map, you know, waiting to be cleared and doing all that. Like when war is on, it's very much I'm mentally engaged. And there's also a unit cost already associated with war because I do not buy the early access offers. So I need to find a way to use my units to get 30% boosts. And additionally, I do run some champions that require mastery swaps, and there's a unit cost associated with that. I've been comfortable spending those units, but if I find that I need to be spending a couple hundred units on healing per war because the loyalty economy is not correct, that is going to be the tipping point for me where I need to step back. Because as it is, Alliance War rewards, they on paper do not justify all the effort that we put into it. But for so many of my peers, it is our favorite mode. It is the most fun we have. It is where we have our most sense of community and cheering each other on, picking each other up when we fail, giving advice, learning, like heart rate raising. Like there's no other part of the game that does that for me currently. And so it's worth the quote unquote bad investment of time, even though, you know, technically I could just be grinding arena all day and only buying offers or only spending money and I would progress faster. But the Alliance War had enough sort of, you know, value in it that I wanted to keep doing it. But to me, I can tell you very clearly that if I have to pay for healing in addition to the time in and the units already going in, I'm just going to step away. And again, I'm not outraged. I'm very cut and dry about this. It will become not worth it for me. And so what I really do hope is that this situation continues to evolve so that we get a different loyalty economy where more is coming in from other sources so that it more or less feels like it does now with the compensation. But instead of just getting free compensation, maybe it's an event or something that you can earn. If you're in tier 1, if you're 100%ing the map, maybe there's a solo event that gives you 75% of the current compensation so that you are basically given your entry ticket to the game mode by playing the game mode instead of just being handed a free weekly email. I think that would be fair, personally. I really do. So anyway, I'm going to move on now to the second half of the video where we're going to go over the spreadsheet, because I think regardless of what happens, tracking is going to be very important. So with that, let's move to the spreadsheet. Alright, so you guys know that I like a good spreadsheet as much as the next guy, and because of that, I did put this one together to help track Alliance War in terms of the load of fights that you're taking, as well as the estimated loyalty costs. So we're going to go over the entire spreadsheet, but what I do want to just briefly mention is that I am one of the newest members of the CCP. This is not something that I take lightly, and that goes in both directions. You know, I'm not going to make outrage videos based on something that I don't personally believe deserves voicing my opinion on. This is, at the end of the day, is my channel. I want to have fun. You can see the history of my channel. I don't really do opinion pieces that often. Quite frankly, my audience isn't big enough currently to make a big impact. But if there is something that I do need to get out there, I will not be scared to say it, because I do not fear that Kabam will revoke my privileges for saying my opinion, as long as I'm not rude, as long as I'm staying balanced and I'm giving good ideas out there. But likewise, in the other direction, I'm going to voice my opinion on the CCP server if I think it's something that will benefit my peers, my viewers, people playing this game. And I can say, I'm pretty sure I can say this, that myself, as well as many other people in the CCP, have been giving feedback to Kabam through the Alliance War channels to try to make sure that they're really listening to people. And for me, I think one of the best ways that I can do this is to be tracking data. So I'm going to be doing this myself. If you want to use this or a similar sheet, feel free to hit File, make a copy. It will put a copy of this in your Google Drive, and then you can edit it. You can change some of the values if you have other stuff you want to track, but feel free to use it. I would only ask that if you share it, you do subscribe to my channel or point someone that you shared it with in the direction of my channel. That will be a big help. So first of all, There is some admin data. If you want to do this for multiple seasons, it might be valuable to not only have your name and alliance, but what season you're on, what tier you're playing in, as well as where you end up ranked rewards wise, as well as the amount of loyalty that you started with and ended with, just to kind of see that bottom line. I think that is going to be a valuable number that you can just manually input here, just to see the difference between a compensation type season and one where the compensation stops, and whatever the new system is in place, seeing that bottom line is going to be important. Now, one of the things that we've brought up on the CCP server a lot is that it's really difficult to look at averages and get the full picture of war, because we all know that people have different loads of fights. They use different champions. Some champions are very potion hungry. Like if you're running Corvus or Archangel and you're taking a ton of fights with them, there's chip damage in every fight. You're likely going to need a lot more potions than someone else. Similarly, the amount of minis and bosses that you're taking, it's just there's a huge variance. So before we even get into the cost aspect of things, as you add stuff here, it's going to total on the bottom. So let's say, an average war for your average summoner might look like this: 3 path fights, 1 shared node, 1 mini boss, no bosses, 5 total. The season totals are going to calculate over here. Additionally, if you die, you would just put in a 1 there. It'll track your deaths. There's not really much to this section except for, as you are looking at the cost below, it's interesting to see the correlation of the amount of load you had, the amount of deaths you had, and if that affected the cost. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It goes war by war. You just input it in and you go from there. Next is the healing section. And now I picked the most likely resources that are going to be used to heal people up. There is going to be a way to manually input some additional resources if, say, you buy an Alliance War level 1 potion or a different type of revive. We'll get to that later, but in my estimation, most people are going to be using these free revives. You probably still have a stash of those tiny revives that used to be in the Glory store, or the ones that come from the Summoner Advancement event. You can get 2 of those every week. So, because usually reviving isn't as much of a problem, I'm assuming a lot of people are going to be able to do it for free. However, if you do run out of revives, there is a 7,000 loyalty revive that is specifically for Alliance War that is in the loyalty store. So we're going to start with that. Let's say, we're in war number 1, we died. We had to buy one of these, we hit enter, and what you see below, it doesn't calculate HP healed because it's a revive, but you can see the estimated loyalty cost of using this revive is 7,000, because that's how much it costs. And then likewise, I'm just going to kind of go diagonal here so you can see how this is all tabulated, but there is a cost as well as the amount of HP that is healed that is automatically input when you put these in. So for example, if you are using a level 4 potion from Alliance War, that is going to cost 20k loyalty. It is going to heal you 9,500 HP. That is all tabulated here. Okay, so now let's say you have a war where you need to revive, so you use a free revive, and then you need to use 5 of these level 4 potions. It will tabulate for you down here how much health you healed up, because let's say you died, you need to heal to full, it costs you that much. Additionally, this is how much loyalty that would cost you. And just know that this is like lowballing it because of the scaling cost. So I'm just keeping it at that 20k per potion level, because hopefully you can buy 1 a day and have a stock that will work for you. Okay. Now, the only other thing to say about this section is that for some of these, I had to come up with conversion rates. The glory potions are more or less going to cost this much in loyalty. Like, assume that these glory potions that you have in your stash, eventually those are going to go away, but for the next season or 2, you may be able to use them to top off. So I came up with what I would consider an estimated cost. Additionally, these level 5 Alliance War potions that come from the compensation, they are worth 100 units each, but I came up with a number of about 30k in terms of how much they are worth in loyalty. Even though they're not available for loyalty, they heal you for 14k health, and more or less, if you consider the cost of what a level 4 pot is, it's going to be about 30K. So I did have to estimate that, but since people are going to be using these, I wanted to give an Alliance War loyalty associated with it, okay? And then finally, some people may choose to buy these type of potions, the team ones. They're very expensive. They're 50K loyalty, but I did include the entire healing for all 3 of the champions on your team there. So hopefully this makes sense. All right. So basically we're going war by war. We're seeing how much total HP we are healing for, as well as the estimated loyalty cost based on the items that you're using. And then the other thing that I mentioned earlier in the video is we already have a loyalty economy, and it's all of these boosts that we see here. The special boosts, the power back boost, the gray boosts, as well as these special 3 defense ones. I actually use these. And then just for fun, we threw in 6-star unstoppable classes. If you wanted to buy them, why not? There's a spot for them on the spreadsheet. So, again, this is the same system. This is not the ones that you purchase, it's the ones that you use. So say in a war, you need to boost up twice for your apocalypse or something. And so you're using 2 each of the special 12% and the power back 200%. And then let's say you need to use 2 invulns and 1 advanced power boost. Let's say this is a really expensive war, the schedule isn't working out and you need to boost up twice. Right there, 5,800 loyalty, 58,000 loyalty that you just, essentially that was the cost of using these. And if you didn't have compensation, all of these gray boosts, you would have had to actually spend the loyalty on, while additionally buying these class boosts and such. So this is something that you can keep track of. Again, it is the ones that you use, not the ones that you buy, because let's just assume there's no compensation. I want to see what would Alliance War cost you in loyalty just for playing it. And then, at the end of the day, what's going to happen down here is it's going to calculate everything for you. So let's just say, I'm just making up numbers for healing. Let's just say for the first 4 wars, this is how much healing you did. It's going to tabulate it down here, the amount of HP that you healed, as well as the amount of loyalty you spent on healing. And then total season loyalty cost is based on the amount of healing, this number here, as well as all of these boosts here. Okay, so just trust the math because I did put this in. It's all accurate. I triple checked it. But in terms of that, you will be able to tabulate automatically just by entering these values, the amount of loyalty that it's going to cost you during a season. And based on the numbers they gave us, we're getting, somewhere between 900,000 and 1 million loyalty in the new proposed system. You can see that that's going to go away very, very quickly, just by, doing some heals, using some boosts, things like that. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Play around with it. Don't change the formulas, otherwise you'll lose everything. But the last section that I want to go over here is these itemized expenses. So, let's say that you, I don't know the cost of stuff, but let's say you bought a mastery core, and it was, 8,000 loyalty or something like that. These are your itemized costs. They're going to come out down here. They're also going to be adding into this total here for season loyalty. That does include this box here for total itemized costs. Some people may be, spending on Alliance Quest tickets. There are other boosts and items. There are other types of potions and revives that you may decide to buy. You can just write them in here as itemized costs, all right? Hopefully that makes sense so that there's a way to manually enter into things like that. All right, so hopefully this spreadsheet makes sense. I tried to make it kind of user-friendly and kind of pretty so that you can calculate it yourself. Again, feel free to make a copy. I think that this is going to be something pretty valuable for you to keep track of your own stuff. And finally, I do want to just read this disclaimer. Keep in mind that with compensation continuing, the numbers calculated are projected your loyalty usage without compensation. So we're imagining a world where you don't get any compensation. How much loyalty does war actually cost you? I'm hoping that this spreadsheet is going to be able to tabulate that for you. And with that, I think I've been talking for long enough. So thanks for watching the video. I'm very interested to hear your opinion. Just know that I'm still going to be fighting for this because I want to keep playing war, and I don't want it to be, me being shoved out because of the cost of war in loyalty units, potentially real money for some other people. So let me know what you think. Hope you enjoyed this video. Download the spreadsheet if you want to, and I will catch you in the next one.